Another important things I want to mention is, for example, we have is the concept of central model in Revit and link data sets. So, for example, let's say this is the project. So this is called project, and that's our 3D model. So if we go to collaborate, we have collaborate here. Enable collaboration so team members can work on a model together. So what we're going to do now is sync the work set back to the central model. So I'll show you step by step. So within your network, so either you do it in the cloud or within your network. For now, I think we'll stick with your network because we don't have account with Autodesk 360 or any other, for example, cloud-based storage, I would say, tools. And as you can see, after you do this, you have something called workset. Okay, I pressed this by mistake. You have something called workset. So when you press on workset, we have this is the default one. Then you can create a new one. So for example, architectural workset. You can create another one called structural workset. Up to you. You can name whatever, and then you can press OK. And they will ask you, do you want to be your active workset, which is the last one we created. So they want to ask us if you want. So you have different worksets that you can work according to you. So if you work in the structure, if you do changes in the architecture workset, just make sure you select the architectural one, and same thing for the structure if you want anything. So after you do this, now what we have is called the project, which is the central model. So project is the central model. So what we're going to do, we're going to close this one and we're going to save it. They will ask us, this will be the central model. You want to save this project as the central model? Yes. Once you save it, you won't open it again. So that is more like the base for your thing. So if you want to create or modify on this project, we're going to create a local copy of that central model that can be synced back to the central model. So as you see, we don't know. So what we do, we open another option, and as we say here, so we have that's the central model. Oh no, actually this is not the central model, that's the old project. So here is the full tutorial, should be the full project and the 3D final. I think this one, 3D model Revit, and that's the project. So if you see here, detach from central or create a new local. So this is central model. I will explain detach in a second. So we create a new local model, and when you press OK, now you're creating a local copy of that central model. As you see here, we have the project and my user ID. That's what attached means, that's the local copy. So when you go to collaborate, I'm structural engineer, I'll work here, or I can work on the other things, design, modify things. And once I'm done, I go sync with central model and sync now. That will send it back to the central model from my local to the central. Or I can do reload latest if other people working on their local copy, and when they do exactly the same thing as me, sync. So I will just want to make sure I have the latest update. So what I do, I will reload the latest from the central model, so that keep me up to date. And also before I close, I do relinquish all my, the ownership of your elements or of your model. So if you don't do that, people can't change anything on the elements you're using. So when you do that, all the elements, you release your ownership from them, so they can, other members of your team can access it. So I'll do this for this one, and I already sync it back, and that's pretty much all. So we have, so if we go to paint, if I explain it more, if you see that diagram, which is a common diagram, you can see it. So you have a central model here, central model. and we have local model, or what we call worksets. So that's central model. We created something called project, and we activate the collaboration as a central model. We create the work set, then after that we close it. We won't open it. Then from that one, we'll create a new local, a new local, a new local. Each local will have different work sets. So we'll have the structure, the architecture. Make sure you are in the right one. Then I think I say local, 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 work sets, work sets, work sets, work sets. So every time you change something, you sync it back to the central by pressing sync. And also you can call updated things from the central model by load latest. And that's the workflow pretty much. So you create the project first time here, or you set up the project here, then you create local copies, and these local copies will be fed back to the central model, called back from the central model, and so on. So that's the concept of central model within a work set within the Autodesk or within Revit so far. I hope this is clear for now. Yeah, that's all for the central model and the work sets.